Welcome to Creative Living, where we help you live your most creative life. I'm Jane Klaus. Now, I always say it's so important to have the right tools to get the job done. And I'm a big believer in making sure you have the right tools too, or at least know about the right tools. And I know y'all know that my sewing machine and I are practically inseparable. But when a project calls for a no-sew touch, my trusty go-to is a hot glue gun. So today, we're getting into a sticky situation with this crafting companion. Our special guests today are from SureBonder, and they're here to melt down the facts on why hot glue is a must-have in your craft arsenal. We'll explore its evolution, we'll get a grip on how it works, and later I'll be showing you how to create something special that's hot off the presses. Or I should say hot off the glue guns. So let's introduce our guests right away. It's Brad Kamens and Stephanie Daniel from SureBonder. Hey guys, this is going to be a glue-tastic show. So let's start with you, Brad. Give me a little history lesson about hot glue and also how SureBonder got started.
I guess starting with SureBonder, my grandpa started the company back in 1968 out of a one-car garage. We started selling eyelets and rivets. Somehow we got into glue, started manufacturing it in the 90s, and we're pretty much one of the last domestic manufacturers in the U.S. And that's something that we're super proud of. Got the flag sported behind me. And we have a plethora of different formulas, over 25 unique formulas that we sell to the crafting industry, the hardware industry, and also into the industrial packaging industry as well.
I mean, super cool. And it's interesting too, because I feel like I'm still living in the 60s with my glue gun. Not now, because I have my SureBonder, but pushing the glue through. How important is it to have, I talked about this, to have the right tool to get the job done? Because there's so many different applications for hot glue these days. But you guys at SureBonder have really made some significant innovations that were introduced to the market for crafters. So talk about having the right tool. Who's going to take that, Stephanie or Brad?
I could take it if you want.
Okay.
So when it comes to the right project and the right gun and the right glue, on the glue gun side, I mean, we have our full size, our mini size, most people are probably most familiar with. We've introduced automatic shut-off technology where after 30 minutes, if the gun hasn't been used, that it'll shut off automatically, kind of like a hair curler or something like that, just for safety reasons. We include safety fuses on all of our guns. We have dual temperatures, different wattages, just anything from a detail tip. If you want to get into a real nice fine place and be delicate with your glue application, there's detail tips. If you want to do a large scale project, we have different tips for different, application widths and wattage guns for higher output for those bigger projects, even getting into more like construction style.
I'm fascinated. I love it. And Creative Living is based in Chicago, so I'm super happy that you guys are right out here in the neighborhood coming up with all these great innovations. Stephanie, tell us what you do for the company, because I know it's very important. Are you family too?
No, I'm not. But I have been working
like
for
family,
the company. Right? Yeah, kind of. I've been working for the company for quite a while now. So I'm in my 6th year here at SureBonder, and it's just been great, honestly. I do a lot of their graphic design, packaging, photography, and help out wherever I can with social media. And we wear a lot of hats here at this family company. So we're kind of involved in a little bit of everything.
I feel you on that. I feel you. And by
Definitely.
the way, if you're a crafter, you're also a maker. Everyone, I think, is a maker. Even if you don't think you're creative, you can make something because you get that sense of satisfaction that you made it yourself. And I always say this because I like to sew, because I grew up sewing, but I also grew up using hot glue. Like, I love my hot glue. So I say to people, make this. If you can't sew it, pin it. You can't pin it, staple it. You don't want to staple it. Go to the seamstress down the street and have her help you. If you don't want to do any of that, grab your hot glue and glue it, because that is always going to work for you. So with all of that being said, Stephanie, what are some cool applications and a variety of ways that we can use our hot glue these days?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different applications. And, kind of playing off what you just said, like, honestly, anyone can make anything. That's very well said. Even if you feel like you're not the most creative person, I think a glue gun can definitely propel you into that. So yeah, with that, I mean, like Brad mentioned, we have a lot of different types of glue guns, like from Detail Tip, which is personally probably one of my favorites. And you can really do a lot with that from like paper crafting and all sorts of paper crafting. So my mom and I, we usually use it for like scrapbooking things or card making. It's kind of interesting to use it in that way, but you can add a lot of embellishments with it and putting things together like that. Plus, it's fast drying, so it makes those crafts that may take a little bit longer of time to put together really fast and easy and quick. So, and that always helps with our everyday busy lives going on right now. So, there's that, and of course, there's like total. That's the thing. Your imagination can take you so many different places with all the different applications that could be out there.
Yeah, I mean, when I learned that SureBonder had fabric glue and you have jewelry glue and you have glitter glue and color glue, I do a lot of jewelry crafts, like costume jewelry crafts that you can just rip them apart and then put them back together. I put them on shoes. I put them on wall art. I'm putting jewelry on shells, to create necklaces. So is this jewelry glue something that we can use on all of these other surfaces? And why does it work?
The jewelry glue, it's an acrylic based adhesive, so it sticks really well to non-porous materials like jewelry, all different kinds, rocks, stones, plastic ones, anything under the sun that isn't necessarily porous. The acrylic feature of that glue is what gives it its intense strength and helps with the bond quality.
I'm so freaking excited about jewelry glue. I don't think you guys understand because it dries quick. And that's one of the reasons, too, why everybody loves hot glue. And Stephanie, you mentioned it, your paper crafting with your mom and making cards. And of course, Hot Glue Lou was doing that when everybody else was using tape. Is the glue come out, sometimes hot glue can be a little bit thick, but if we're putting it on paper, we don't want it to be bubbly. Talk about how to make that smooth and have it lay flat.
Yeah, great question. That is definitely something I think that our detail tip glue guns really help with. But it is a little bit, I would say it takes a little bit of finessing to get it just right, especially when you're dealing with like card making, scrapbooking, where you're dealing with the thinner papers. So one of the things with the detail tip glue gun, like I mentioned, is one of my favorites. I use it all the time, is that you have the perfect control. You have precision at your fingertips right there. So with our detail tip, it's a very, very fine tip that's on there, like nothing else that's out there on the market. And it really does put the control back in your hands. So I think that right there is a key to working with paper.
So, Stephanie, let's talk about the fabric glue a little bit more.
There's so much to love about the fabric glue. It's one of our best-selling specialty glues, I would say. It's available in cream and black. So depending on what kind of fabric you're working with, could be like lighter colors, you're going to want to use the cream. If you're working with darker colors, use the black. But then also one of the cool things about it is that it is machine washable. So that is something that's really neat if you're going to actually like put embellish. Yeah, exactly. Like it is really neat. It's so cool. They've developed this formula for that. Now we're going to preface. You're going to want to use it on a cool, gentle cycle.
Right. Right.
It is hot glue, so you're definitely not sticking that in the dryer. You're going to want to hang dry that. But how cool is that?
I think that's really great. I'm super excited about it. If you've got a fabric glue stick and you've got a glitter glue stick and you've got your clear glue stick and you just have one gun, again, more is more and less is a bore. Buy 2 guns, buy 3 guns. You got to have one gun for every single one of the glues that you have a dedicated glue gun. This is me talking as a crafter, as somebody who wants to sit in my craft cellar and just make things all day long. I wish that was what I did, but I would love to have 3. What is your thought on that? Can we use one and kind of cycle the glue through? And how does that work? Well, if I get jewelry glue on my fabric glue, it's kind of like a Reese's. Is it going to be bad?
I can take the first half of that if you want, Brad, but if you don't have multiple glue guns, which of course, yes, it is a great suggestion just because, and I know a lot of people that do that. They have their one dedicated glue gun just for fabric or just for jewelry or, you know, whatever your specialty glue that you're using is. But if you don't, I would definitely recommend taking a clear stick and then running the glue stick all the way through of your specialty. Let's say you have the fabric stick in there and you just did a fabric project. Now you're going to switch gears and you're going to go to a whole nother project and do a jewelry stick, like you had mentioned. You know, make sure you're going to feed that glue stick, the fabric glue, all the way through. And then you're going to want to take a clear stick, maybe even two of them, and you're going to want to keep feeding it through the glue gun until you don't see any more of the fabric stick, which is a cream color. It also is available in a black color as well too. But you're going to want to make sure you see no other color coming out of there. And then you can go ahead and swap out your specialty stick for the glue stick or the jewelry stick, I'm sorry. So it's a little bit of, you know, again, kind of playing around with it. But that's something that we do recommend is definitely feeding the glue stick all the way through before you start another one.
So if you're going from fabric to jewelry, let's say, you pull it in your general purpose, you flush it out, and then you put a jewelry stick in, and you let that run pretty much all the way till the back end of the stick is in the gun, and you have to start feeding another jewelry stick in. That's when theoretically you should be ready to transition.
I mean, there's so many tips and tricks. Who knew? I love this so much. You guys are like the encyclopedia for glue sticks. It's amazing. So let's talk about fabric gluing. And we talked about it a little bit. So in my little head, I like to make pillows. I like to make everything, but I'm thinking of a fleece pillow. They do a lot of no-sew fleece where you tie them and then you give the pillow out. So I'm thinking like, okay, if I have a fleece whatever fabric, and I'm going to cut this into a 14-inch pillow. I want to add, cut some fringe and add that to it as well. Stuff the pillow in it and then glue the edges. Does the nozzle need to be bigger if we're doing something that massive and trying to create sort of like a thicker seam? Just because simply it is glue and it's not a stitch that goes in between, or is it going to hold it and that's going to be just fine to give away as a gift and feel comfortable that it's not going to break?
Great question, honestly. I think it really does depend on the different material that you're going to be using. So, I mean, I'm not a seamstress at all. I use my glue for sure with any kind of sew projects. So I would definitely recommend though with the fabric glue, it is also again formulated to be super strong bond that when you're using like a detailed tip or something like that, you can use that fine glue bead and it should hold just fine. I think you should be totally comfortable with that. But again, with their detail tip, even though you have that fine bead, you can pump out a lot of glue using it as well too. So as long as you keep continuously pulling the trigger, you can decide on your own as it's coming out. Do you want it to be thicker or do you want it to remain small and skinny as well? And we do have a full-size version of that glue gun as well, which does feature a little bit larger of a tip if you did want to have a larger line of glue for that type of project.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the glue pot. So explain what that is. I probably said the name wrong. So let's talk about it. What's a glue pot?
Sure. Yeah. Well, we call it the glue skillet.
Skillet. I love
yeah.
skillet.
Yeah. We love that. Our model that we advertise a lot is our adjustable temperature. So you can either adjust the temperature up to a high or low or somewhere in between, depending on what you're working with. If it's more of a delicate material, you can turn the heat down a little bit. And it also works with our low stringing glue skillet pellets that we formulated as well. And Brad, I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, specifically with the formula, but that really does work well and makes a great pairing with the two of them.
Yeah, I want to hear more about low string, and I want to hear about low stringing, right? And then I want to know how is that different? What does that mean, Brad? What do you mean?
So anyone that's used a glue gun, you know that when you're gluing something and you back the gun away, there's a string that forms. So pretty much hot glue it's a plastic-based material. So it's like a molten plastic. So there's that stringing. Quick tip with the glue gun, switching gears from the skillet, if you want to cut that stringing with a glue gun, circle your tip to where the heat of the tip cuts that stringing. Just
I love that.
A cheat to bypass that. But in terms of the glue skillet, that is pretty much designed for bringing the materials that you're using in your craft, dipping them into the glue to get a better surface area instead of taking a glue gun and trying to hit all the surface area individually. Dip it in the hot glue skillet. The glue will attach to the product, and then you put it on your project. When you're doing that transition, stringing can be an issue. So the formula for the glue skillet has different components in it that help reduce that stringing so that you're not fighting that constantly while you're doing your project. So another tip would be just to like turn it to kind of like get the bead to spin a little bit, and then it should break.
I love a good top tip, Brad. I don't know, but you're bringing it right now. This is good. This is what happens when it's a family business. You know all the tips and tricks. He's like a kid. I'm sure when you were a little kid, everybody went to like first grade with their little white bottle of glue, name we all know. And then Brad comes walking in with like a hot glue stick. Everyone's like, what?
Right. I was the cool kid.
Of course you were. So the glue skillet is meant for a dip and stick, For people that don't know what that means, explain it. Stephanie?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what our catchphrase is for this product is just dip and stick. So you're just going to literally, well, actually, let me back up a little bit. So when using the skillet, the neat thing about this is that it's all contained within the skillet. So you'll have your skillet, you'll go ahead and turn that on, let it heat up, and you'll be able to pour the skillet pellets, the glue pellets, into the skillet. And then the pellets will melt down and it'll be molten glue. And you'll be able to dip those materials, whatever it is, being a pine cone or different floral faux flowers, things like that, dipping that straight into the glue and then being able to stick that directly onto your wreath or whatever project that you decided to make. So it just cuts down some of the cumbersomeness of using a glue gun for those specific types of projects that are a little bit more of, you want to kind of just dip it and then stick it right away onto the project. It just makes for a fast and a little bit easier way when you're doing such a large scale project, like a big wreath or a door hanger, things like that. The floral industry really loves these and uses them a lot.
Yeah, that's cool because I feel like the glue skillet is sort of a new innovation. It's really the first time I've seen it. And I'm like, who is using these? But I guess if you're always dipping and sticking, just having it right there and having your hands free just to create, not necessarily grabbing that glue gun. So Brad, thank your family for that cool innovation. Let's talk about innovations, Brad. We've got the stir sticks. Now, I have the stir sticks and I thought, oh, these look like chopsticks for glue sticking. There's no glue to them. I'm guessing they repel the hot glue, like nothing sticks to them. Explain to us how somebody would use a stir stick and what it is.
Sure. So we brought on the stir sticks to pretty much assist with being able to stir the glue. Sometimes after being on for a couple hours, things can get stagnant. You got to give it a little bit of a stir. The sticks are actually made out of Teflon, so that repels the adhesion of the skillet glue. So at the end of the project, you're able to peel that glue right off and then keep your sticks clean. Another way that you can use these is, let's say you want to do something a little more fine, you don't have your glue gun with you, you can dip the stir stick into the molten glue in the skillet, accumulate a little bit of that, take it over and dip it, or at least touch up or put glue on smaller portions of your project. So it gives you that control and versatility. You know, sometimes you want to dunk something in there and sometimes you just need a little bit.
I mean, seriously, it's about time somebody came up with that. I love the Teflon stir stick. And then if you find, oh, I'm never using them, you can use them for oversized chopsticks. No, I'm kidding. I tease. Or if you just can't find your chopsticks, you're like, oh, I'll use these. I'm sure they clean up just well. Let's talk about this. Any insider tips and tricks for getting the best results? I know you gave us some tips, Brad, earlier, but Stephanie, insider tricks for best results?
Yeah, well, one that comes to mind is that when we all kind of know that, the hot glue, right, it sticks together and it kind of forms an instant bond and it dries quickly. But I think what really happens and the magic of it is the actual bond comes when it's cooled. So when it's hot, that's the perfect time immediately to stick two surfaces together, right? And then you're going to want to hold it together firmly for 15 to 30 seconds. And then as it's cooling, the glue cools, that's when that bond actually forms and is solidified then. So I think that's kind of something that, as a lot of people know, but really knowing kind of how that works and knowing that to hold it a little bit longer sometimes than you should can really help with the bonding process. I think that's a good one. If you wanted to add anything about that, Brad, too.
No, that hits the nail on the head perfectly.
Yeah, that's all really good. Let's review the products that we have and that we can use and that we should all buy to have in our crafty stash. And I'm really interested in talking a little bit more about how the glue gun sets on the holder, because if you're anything like me, your glue gun just has two little prongs that leans on it and it flips over all the time. But you guys have come up with a really cool innovation where it sits on the holder, it charges when it's on there, and then you can, put it back on there to continue charging. So let's start with the glue guns, and then we'll make our way through the glue sticks. Brad, do you want to take that?
Sure. So we came out with the mini cordless gun, and it also has a fine tip as well. So the benefit of the cordless feature is everyone kind of knows when you're plugged into an outlet or you have an extension cord and you have to drag the cord over your project to glue whatever you're gluing. With the cordless feature, you don't have that problem anymore. So you keep your cord and your stand plugged into the wall or extension cord that you're using, and that stays on the table. The glue gun actually, there's no battery to it, so it's not really a charge or uncharge. It's essentially plugging it in versus unplugging it. So you'll take it off the stand, you're essentially unplugging the glue gun. You take it over to wherever you're working to do your gluing, and technically it's just turned off. But that heat stays for about 1 to 3 minutes, depending on how much glue output you're doing in that time period. So when you take it back to the stand, plug it back in on the stand, it's like plugging the gun back in or flipping the switch to on, and it's starting to reheat itself again. So it gives you that flexibility so you're not dealing with the cord, and it also gives you the freedom to just go wherever you want or glue wherever you want.
I think that's great. That's why we're here today, friends. All right. So I do believe that hot glue and the glue skillet and several glue guns are absolute necessities in your crafting arsenal. But if people want to learn more about the fascinating story behind SureBonder, or they just want to find the product, pick the one that's right for them, Stephanie, where can people find you?
Well, we're in most retail craft stores like Joann, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, things like that. Walmart, we're in a bunch of different hardware stores too, like Lowe's, Home Depot. But you can also find us on SureBonder.com and Amazon, and pretty much wherever you purchase your supplies for crafting or DIY projects, you'll be able to find SureBonder there. Just choose the black and green. So.
I love it. I'm so excited. And I love the jewelry glue too. All right, you guys, this has been really fun, except that now I need to go make stuff.
That's the fun part.
Stephanie and Brad, thank you so much for all of that great information about hot glue and SureBonder. And thank you for joining us on Creative Living. Next up, I'm going to take everything I learned from Brad and Stephanie to create an amazing craft that's hot off the glue gun. Okay, we're going to start with reviewing the products that Stephanie and Brad told us about. Number one, this is our glue skillet. So you can see the glue is melting on the inside of there. To go along with that, you've got the wireless glue gun with that very fine pointy tip. You can see that it plugs in and it's wireless, so you can take it with you wherever you are hot gluing. I'm going to put it back here in the holster. And then we've got the glitter glue stick. We've got the color glue sticks and your regular old clear glue sticks. This is your fabric glue stick that I'm super excited about, and your jewelry sticks, which we will be using today. And then we've also got the glue skillet pebbles. I'm going to put a little more in to the glue skillet. There you go. And they'll melt. So let's get this cleaned up and let's get started. I'm going to set down some craft paper so I don't paint on my table or my mat, but we are going to get some pine cones, and we're going to use the butt of the pine cone and paint it to create a floral wall hanging. So to do this, you're just going to pull back these tiers of the pine cone, give it a little twist and break it off of its base. It can get a little messy. These pine cones are dry and from last year, so pull it off the base just like that. And I'll do one more. Let's see. So you just want to use the very end of the pine cone, and it's going to end up looking just like a flower for spring. You can do 3, you can do 5, you can do as many flowers, pine cone flowers, as you want. I like an odd number. Once they're painted and dry, we're going to put them on this plaque using our dip and stick. And I've painted a few in advance, and we'll use some stems and add them here so it's like a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers. So we're going to paint these and put them on this wooden plaque. It'd be nice if this plaque were white, but I like the wood color for spring. So painting, I'm going to use yellow because it is my favorite color, and we'll just paint all of these little arms of the pine cone. And it's okay if it doesn't get all the way in the cracks and the crevices. You just want to get it covered. The little bit of the pine cone showing, I love it because it's sort of part of nature, and it gives it that springy, rustic feel. If you wanted to use a white plaque, you could. I'm going to let this dry just like this. And then a little bit later, once this is dry, I'm going to go in and put some detail right here in the top. Let's see, since I've got a few painted already, I think I'll go in here and do a pink. And again, these are dry, so these leaves are falling off, but that's okay. We're going to glue them using our dip and stick, so nothing will fall off. But I'm going to paint this one pink. Think about this, you could do this project in the fall, you could do it for Christmas and use sparkle and glitter. You can even use some of the glitter glue sticks to add a little bit of embellishment to the top, so that's super fun. Okay, I'm going to put that one down. I'll do another pink. And I like to do an odd number. I think it's up to you. You want to go even, you want to go odd. I always do odd, so it's either going to be 3 or 5. Probably going to do 5 with this because the plaque is a little bit bigger. The other thing you could do without actually painting is put them in a bleach bath. And if you put the pine cones in a bleach bath, they will get faded. And that could be a really great look for spring and summer. I'm going to pull in some of the ones I've already done. You see I added that little tip in there. just a little accent. And I think I'm going to do the same thing here, but I'll do it in white. So we've got a little black accent, and I'll do white inside the yellow on the pink flowers. Oh, I love that. Now, let me show you something else. If you don't want to use paper, you can use stems from other projects. So I'm going to get my wire cutter and cut this. And I can incorporate these stems. I'm going to take off all the leaves, but how fun is that? I've got one here, one here. We've got a bunch of different stems that we can add into instead of paper if you don't like the way that looks. So let me just cut using my wire cutter. And once these are set, we can add as many, leaves, or I'm sorry, stems as we want. So we're just building on what we have. So I'm going to glue this down and we are going to get started. So I've got my glue gun. I'm just going to add, because of this really great fine point, I'm just going to put a little glue on the stem. Get that in here. And then you place it. I'm going to go right here, leaving this. That's great. I love that. I'm going to add these. And because these are made from wire, you can turn them any way you want. We are going to be covering some of these bits with the pine cones. So there you go. Have some fun with it. So that's starting to take shape, and I think what we'll do is we'll add these. I want to do one more right here, so I can put that one at the top. I'm going to put this in here. We'll probably do some filler, and then this is where our dip and stick comes into play. This guy is little, so I'm going to cut him in half. I think, there you go. It's great, love it, and I like a little bit of swaggy curve to it too. There we go. And I'm putting this one right down Main Street, right up the center. That's fun. Now we've got all of these here. That so far is going to be our stems. And now we're just going to add the different flowers in. Doesn't matter where they go. It's going to look great no matter what. I'll pop this guy in there. That looks great. I love that placement, and it was kind of an accident. Dip. Woo! It's great. Dip, it's fun. And stick. That's good. And then if anything drops, like pieces of pine cone drops in there, just pull them out. Gonna hold on to the top. Don't drop it in. You're just gonna dip it. Swirl it around so that the glue cuts itself, and then we are going to stick it. Dip and stick, dip and stick. How cute is that? Okay, next. This is fun because you can add as many as you want. I love this pink one here. It's going to go right here. So far, I'm loving the placement. And you can still move the glue around for at least 45 seconds until it sets. So just make sure you like where it's at and then let it sit. We're going to do it again. Dip. And stick. Kind of fits right in there too. It's perfect. Let's put this one on. Here's the base. Dip. Swirl it around to get rid of the excess glue and stick. And you can kind of feel where it fits best because of the ridges in the stems and the ridges on the pine cone. But again, you got like 45 seconds here to make sure you like the placement before you have to move it. So I kind of know what I want to do. I'm going to dip it. Whew. Make sure we get all the sides. It's really cool. And then I'm going to stick it. And I know exactly where I want this one. Right in between these two. And these all have 45 seconds to dry. That is fabulous. Okay, one more time. Dip. Don't let it sit in there too long. So these are all in place. And to finish everything off, I'm going to add a nice ribbon right across the front. So let's get enough ribbon so we can make a nice bow. And I'm just going to do your basic bow. I like the white because it'll pop and it picks up the little white accents in the flowers. And there we go. And you can make your bow as big or as small as you want to. Small and sweet, big and bold. Bows are back, we know that. So let's add one too. But let's see, we'll go here, and then I'm gonna have these just trail, and I'm gonna glue them up. So they're all part of the party. Glue, glue right there. Stick my bow on it right here. Happy spring! Okay, our next project, we're going to use clear glue sticks, we're going to use the jewelry stick, and we're going to use our portable glue gun. And you need some fabric, and you need a frame. We are going to make a hanging piece of art that we can hang on the wall, and we're using old jewelry and it's fun. And we're going to use our jewelry stick for this one. That's fun. Okay, to start, we are going to get rid of all the stuff that comes with our frame. We don't need it, so unwrap it. And you can get frames at Goodwill for really cheap, or any thrift store, or even a garage sale. But you're gonna take everything out of it. You're gonna take the glass, you're gonna take the mat, you're gonna keep these two pieces of cardboard. That's the secret. Keep the pieces of cardboard. So take one of the pieces of cardboard, and I've just got some regular fabric here. It's got a little bit of a gold sheen to it. You can use any color. I just happen to like this color. And you're gonna take a piece of your cardstock, or the cardboard, corrugated cardboard that comes inside the frame, and we're gonna glue this on here. And here's our frame right here. We're gonna open this up. I'm gonna put this in. There you go. And I'm also going to add this piece right on top and then this. So I'm going to, because I want it to stick, I will glue these two pieces together like a sandwich. Okay, so get enough glue. Around the outside of this, and it's going to make it nice and sturdy. You don't want any bumps because you're going to be putting a whole entire design. And I am doing this all the way around. There we go. And I'll place this on top. So now it's nice and sturdy to hold all the jewels that we're going to be putting on this side. Perfect. Okay, so now back to our frame. Fabric side in. That looks great. And then you can glue this together so that it doesn't ever move. Or you can leave it so you can take the project out if you want to. So I will leave it in case you want to take the project out later. But there's that. So now your frame is completely done. And there it is. Looks great. So now, again, remember we're making this. So we need to create a pattern. We need to pick our jewels, and then we need to start using our jewelry stick. That's our inspiration, friends. Okay, now I've just switched out my regular glue stick for the jewelry stick. So I had to clean out the cartridge with that glue stick and then add in the jewelry stick. So I'm gonna let that heat up while, remember, this is our inspiration, we draw a pattern. So I'm just gonna use a regular pencil. Make sure that you're drawing facing you. I'm gonna start with where I want the center to be. And then this is a really light pencil. So the plan is to cover all of the draw marks. And also, so my stem is going to come here, off to the side. And then hopefully I'll add a little leaf. That's cute. Okay, so now that that's done, decide what colors you want to use. Old jewelry pieces. These are just costume jewelry pieces that I find at thrift stores and estate sales. I get them online. eBay's a great source, but they all have been pins or earrings. And I always wonder the life of all of these pieces of jewelry. Where were they? Who wore them? What were they doing before I even got a hold of them? So I'm trying to pull out some blue ones. I like this piece here, so we'll have to use, I use a little pliers and I just rip the components off. Let's see, I just take my big pliers and just rip these off. It's worth, I think, sitting and ripping the pieces apart, maybe at a separate setting before you decide to stick things on your canvas. Here's another good blue one. And it doesn't have to be any particular color. You know, we want to use big, we want to use little, we want to use all the sizes. And I really like this blue. Not sure if it's going to fit in our flowers, but we will try. Rip that off. And I will rip this off as well. Again, these could go into a landfill, or you can make a really beautiful hanging wall art. Sometimes they're a little finicky, so I just get my wire cutters out. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I think I have enough to start with. I'm going to set my cutters over here. I'm going to move my pieces aside so I can see them and grab them when I need them. This is the canvas that we started with. So I'm starting to design. I need something for the center. I'm loving these, but I love, these already look like little leaves. Let's use them. And I love this for the stem. So we gotta cut this apart. Here's one, the jewel is missing right there. So we'll cut it right before it and we'll never miss the jewel. Well, so I'm loving this for my stem. And I'm also, remember, we wanna get a leaf of some sort. So be on the lookout for something that could act as our leaf. And let me just get this. Okay, so this is gonna be my stem. Love, love, love. And maybe I've got these extras. They're just pieces of broken. That's really cute. Part of the fun of this is to just sit and design. And then this could be my center. The other thing I thought maybe for a center could be that. But I think I'll save that for another project. And I could do this blue as a center. That's pretty fun. And then again, I have this extra little piece that I'm going to cut. I like to lay it out before I glue it down. Got all these little pieces that are going to be so fun to incorporate. Cut a bunch of them. Cut your jewels before you actually put them anywhere. And then I'll put a third one down here. Oh, I think I'm liking this. There we go. And then I want to cut this little piece off right here. That one just sort of broke off, which is totally fine with me. So we have 3 and 2. Again, cut this edge off. And then we'll put this in here. So that is the base of our flower. The other thing that we will do is I've got all of these long pieces of gemstone, and I want to sort of outline each of my petals. And then we have something to fill in, because remember we drew that line. Since we know we're using these pieces, I'm going to put them aside. We know we're using these, we know we're using this. I want to do the outline first, and then we will fill in the rest. And that is just how easy it is. But with your glue gun and following this line that you've already created with your pencil, just add a little bit of your jewelry stick glue, and then it's easy to put the chain down. Make sure the 40 side is up. You can get about 30 to 45 seconds to lay this in there. And this is just going to create the outline we'll use to fill it in. The precision tip on this SureBonder glue gun is fantastic. It really allows me just to make those nice lines. I'm just following my own pencil marks to make each petal. You can put it back on the holster for it to charge a little bit and keep it hot. And I could, because it's a little bit wider, I can fill in the other side. I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay, so now we gotta decide on our centerpiece. Maybe this is the center, since we're gonna go blue. And again, I'm back to this laying things out to make sure I like how it looks. I'm going to do 3 of these. You can't make a mistake, by the way. And then I will glue this one. We're just going around the horn. I love that this dries. In the past, I've used just a liquid glue to do this. And you have to set it and let it wait. You have to wait till it's the next day so you could do anything with it. I think that's sweeter, by the way. I love these because it's just flowers and you're just putting flowers inside the flower, which is like a lot of jewelry. Again, a little bit in the center, placing that in. It's looking good. Similar to this, I'll put it over here. So then we have same things in each different category. This, we might put down here. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. This is still got, oh no, that's good. Just add a little bit extra with your fine tip. Gets in there, that's great. Okay. So good. Okay, and I need one more of these beads because I decided I'm going to add them everywhere. Everything just sort of fits in place once you start going. I do need a little something in here. Oh, that's too big. I mean, I do these little filler pieces that I love. Same thing on that side. Okay, we're finishing up, adding in the last couple of gems. I think this looks great. Just add in, covering up all the lines. Are there any spaces we missed? If there are, we can use some of these filler stones that we found off a necklace. Maybe I put this one in there because that would look good. You're never done. That's the thing. Oh, see, I like this, but when you need to add a gem, you've got this extra. It's great. I'm gonna add that right in there, maybe. In there, and I think a flower. Oh no, I'm gonna do. Well, these are pretty too. I said you're never gonna be done if you don't stop. I'm gonna add on this last leaf. One more finishing touch. And we added a leaf at the last second Right as the buzzer was ringing, we added a leaf. That is it. Beautiful. Good grief. I love it. What else could we have put on here? Our Bejeweled flower canvas art in a frame. It is sustainable, it is beautiful, and it is all done with your jewelry stick hot glue. I love it. There you have it, everything you ever wanted to know about hot glue, and a few projects to inspire you too. I'm Jane Klaus. Thank you for watching Creative Living. And until next time, go grab those hot glue guns and make something.
Live better, creatively. For more inspiration, visit janeklaus.com.